Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the CDL podcast channel. In this episode today, as you can see by the screen, we're doing our World Cup bracket predictions. And then at the end, going to dive into a little bit of CDL news with the Boston Breach stuff going down and a couple name changes for some teams. If you guys enjoy this one, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. If you're on the audio platforms, drop a follow, drop a 5-star review. Episode might be a little shorter today. Brock and I, we were up northern Michigan this weekend, hanging out with our friends, and I came home and I am just super under the weather, super sick. So episode might be a little shorter today. I am going through it, but Brock, let's jump into this one. How you doing today?
Oh, doing pretty good. It's good old Monday, Esports World Cup here this weekend. Excited to watch some of that, and let's get into it.
Yeah, I thought I saw like it's like all early mornings for us. I think like a lot of the times are like 7, 8 a.m. here.
Mm-hmm.
Like what is the time difference is kind of crazy. So like we're gonna be probably watching at really odd times. We're finally gonna get to feel like what it's like for you EU fans who get screwed on the timing of everything.
Yeah.
It's gonna be very, very weird because like, what's the time in Saudi Arabia right now? I'm gonna look it up. Currently it's 2:38 a.m. there.
Yeah, that's a little time difference.
Yeah, so they're 8 hours ahead. So like if these matches are starting at like 9 a.m. as it says in here, I don't know if that's like local like Eastern time or if that's talking like that's 9 a.m. their time. Because if it's 9 a.m. their time, then we're sitting at like 1 a.m. our time or something. So maybe it's 9 a.m. Eastern. I don't know. But either way, we're going to be at a lot different times. It's not going to be the typical perfectly set up like afternoon matches like it usually is for us. We have it made and we know it. We know we're lucky with having it made for
We sure are.
all of our American sports are obviously catered to American times, like baseball, basketball, football, because they're played here. But then even like most esports in general, especially like Call of Duty, the one that we watch. I shouldn't say most because a lot of them are played over in Europe and Asia and stuff. But the one we watch, Call of Duty, is very, very, very catered to us and our schedules.
Indeed.
All right, Brock, let's do this bracket. I have like 17 windows open to make this bracket work because not only do we not have like a bracket to just like straight up fill out, it's like very weird. Like I have to go on like the COD Liquipedia site to find where the people go in terms of the bracket. So they've got like Group A number 1 seed goes to the top of the bracket, and they play the Group B number 2 seed. It really isn't that confusing. It's just I have to look in 6 different spots to see where it goes. So it does get a bit confusing. So bear with us. Might take us a second till I'm photoshopping all the teams on and everything. It's just a little bit weird the way the bracket works, but we will have Brock do his bracket quickly first, and then I'll do mine. Probably not going to like jump into like map counts and what record counts are going to be in the groups. Just going to quickly go over it and put the teams in there, make our predictions on who's going to get out of the groups and who's going to win it. This is a weird tournament to predict, Brock, because going into every major, we have all the online matches where like maybe online doesn't tell us everything, but in general, you kind of know what teams are looking like going into a tournament, into champs. You have like the week or two off, but what teams looked like at Major 4 and stuff before that. Where this, it's like, we haven't seen the teams. We've seen like screenshots of scrims, but that can only tell you so much. Online scrim results can only tell you so much. It's not actual matches or an actual tournament or anything. And then even ignoring that, like this is post champs. Like OpTic is the best team in the game to end the year, but like we don't know, is OpTic going to come out firing in all cylinders? Are they going to kind of not take this as seriously because they won champs, the tournament that really matters to them? Like, is a team like Faze going to come out just guns blazing because they got top 6 and they want to get that prize money made up? I don't know. It's a weird tournament to predict. We haven't really ever seen anything like it. I guess you could maybe compare like the tournaments post champs and like Black Ops 2 Ghost AW when it happened middle of the year, but it's a very odd territory we haven't been in at least quite some time.
Yeah, definitely see how these teams, especially like OpTic, like tries or not, and the other ones.
I mean, you would expect them to try just because like there's so much money in the line. Like, what is it, 600K for first? That the players still want to get. I mean, I would hope the players still want to get 150,000 each. That's a pretty good payday. I literally could make up if you were a team that won like no prize money all year, 150K each could make up. I mean, that's that is a very healthy yearly salary
It
on top
is.
of what these players are getting paid. And I mean, it makes me wonder a little bit too. But I mean, maybe this is like spoiler alert, but it makes me wonder like maybe some of the challenger teams. I mean, like these are guys obviously didn't make nearly as much money as any of the CDL players in terms of salary and prize pool and all that stuff. So like, makes me wonder like, do any of these challenger teams potentially come out super hungry and pull off some upsets and make it out of the pools or something? Because like, they might be extra hungry. Like this is basically like their old school champs. Like they had their challenger champs, but like this is the one where they can actually make a money and make maybe a name for themselves if they end up finishing like with the top 4 or something.
I know if I was a challenger player and I saw an opportunity to win that much money, who cares when I play? I'm going dumb hard, all the crazy and shit.
Yeah, this is like, oh my god, I'm going absolutely insanely hard because maybe some CDL teams slacked off potentially. You never know, but maybe they did. Like there are some teams that made changes, so they haven't had that much time together. Like I am going crazy, crazy, crazy hard if I'm a challengers team, and like you never know what can happen with the single elimination. All it takes is like a team like Stallions make it out of groups, and who knows? I don't even know. I haven't really looked at like quite yet who they can play. Like they're in Group C, so let's say they get the 2 seed in Group C, they play the winner of Group D. That's tough because it's Atlanta Faze, but you never know. Would I typically take them to beat Atlanta Faze? Obviously not. I think Faze beats them 99% of the time, but you never know if Stallions come out and have that one hot day. All it takes is knocking Faze down to, well, not losers in this case, but knocking Faze out one single time, and all of a sudden, boom, they're out of the tournament. And you're top 4. Like all it takes is just like you make it out of groups, you win 3 matches, you're the champion.
Yep,
because it's single elimination.
Literally, like the top teams could have a stinker of a day, and they're out.
Yeah, because you see random teams in the CDL, like the bottom teams upset the top teams, just like one day where that top team's a little off, and where that bottom team is just hot. They're still CDL players, they're still top challenger players at the end of the day. You never know, an upset could happen.
Yeah, which makes this more interesting.
Yeah. All right, Brock. So I guess I'll just insert the players or the teams into where they go. So I guess, we did make some predictions. Maybe we have changed our minds since we made like our early predictions on it. But I guess the way I want to do it is I'll fill out the bracket by, just you telling me who you have 1 and 2 out of each group. So starting with Group A, which is Carolina Royal Ravens, Las Vegas Legion, Omit Brooklyn, and OpTic Gaming. Sounds weird to say OpTic Gaming again. Who do you have coming out as the number 1 seed out of that group? Is it OpTic, or you think somebody pulls off an upset?
I think OpTic takes the number 1 seed, even though they did win champs. I hope they get the number 1 seed, which I'm sure they will. All of these teams that are in the pool. Okay. And that's a toss-up for the 2nd seed.
Yeah, people have been saying like Carolina's been looking really good in scrims, but like that Vegas team, especially if they had the same roster, I think they'd be like a shoo-in in a way. But like Carolina, Vegas are both good. Like Omit Brooklyn's not a bad team either.
I'm gonna go with the Vegas Legion here.
You're going with the Vegas Legion, okay? I like it. I wish that Vegas and Carolina wouldn't have gotten dropped into the same pool because, like we said a million times, we love both these teams. So, like, in an ideal world, maybe we could see both that move on. But also, I would like to see OpTic move on because I love Kenny and I want to see him win another big tournament like this.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, hang on, I put Vegas in the wrong spot. I'm already tweaking. Put Vegas in the wrong spot. The Group A number 2 seed goes all the way down at the bottom of the bracket. Yeah, I'm sorry for these Photoshops. Some of them look horrible because I got to fit them onto this screen. So some of these Photoshops just look absolutely horrible. So if you're watching in the video platform, I'm sorry, I suck at this. Then we have got the Group B, Brock, which includes Cloud9, so NYSL, if people are confused by that. G2, which is Minnesota Rockers roster. The Gentlemates, which is that Bance challenger team. And then the Seattle or Vancouver Surge. So lots of teams, just confusing the hell out of us. We got the Vancouver Surge, formerly Seattle. G2, representing Minnesota Rocker. We've got Cloud9, who's NYSL. So a very confusing, Brock, but who do you have coming out as the number 1 seed? Obviously, I forgot to mention Fire, Glow Frosty, Prolute Spart, Omit Brooklyn team for that other group. And then here in Group B, the challenger team is Bance, Cobra, Denza, and Harry. So Bance and Harry, 2 players we've seen in the past. And then Cobra and Denza players we've heard a lot about, but haven't seen them necessarily in the Pro League.
Yeah. For my first seed, definitely Cloud9. I don't see a world where they don't.
Yeah.
Especially they just took second at champs. And
bottom.
And we're gonna go with the Vancouver Surge to just get the second seed out of this. Kind of like how they played together. They don't got all the talent in the world, but they play together.
Yeah, which puts them in a matchup with OpTic in the first round, I believe. Yes, it does. Puts them in a matchup with OpTic there.
That's kind of tough. How it shakes out.
Yeah. With the way you have it shaken out, at least. Then, Brock, in Group C, it's the Boston Breach, who are no longer a thing, but that's what they're still listed as for now. It's the Boston Breach team, Stallions, Team Heretics, and Toronto Ultra. So obviously, you guys know Ultra and Breach. Team Heretics is Miami Heretics, and then Stallions is Challenger team, like Zuma's team, Faze Black. It is Asim, Brack, Exceed, and Rex. So obviously, Asim, Brack, Exceed players we've seen in the Pro League plenty. Rex, a top name in challenges this year. We definitely heard of him, but never actually seen Pro League action. So who do you have coming out of Group C as the number one seed, Brock?
Definitely Toronto Ultra. I hope.
Yeah, you would. Yeah, you would hope.
You would think. And
they are going.
Yeah, Ultra, and I'm gonna go with Vamos, the Team Heretics. They played really well at the end of the year for the most part.
Group C, number one goes here. Sorry, I'm looking at where they go. You're taking Heretics?
Yeah, I like how they played really well towards the end of the year for the most part, and some players stepped up that weren't stepping up before.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, Heretics have been, overall good since like that mid-season like ultra slump they were on. I mean, there was a bit there where Heretics look horrible, but even at champs, they look pretty good. Like they had chances to win their match. Their round one match against Faze, they had a very good chance to win it, and they just kind of blew it.
Yeah, they kept the games close, but just could not finish it out.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with you. They have a very good chance to come out of this group. Then, Brock, we have got Group D, which seems to be, in my opinion, the most straightforward group. Like, I'd be very shocked if this group ended anyway, besides Faze and 100T making it out. I don't know what order, what seeds, but Lore, obviously, they are the Challenger champs, so there is that. Two Real, Arcitys, Paulex, and Yuli, obviously, all players that we have seen in the Pro League before. Two Real with Florida and with the Legion for a bit. Arcitys with Faze, LAG. Most people would know him from Faze. Paulex saw him a bit with like the Ravens, New York and stuff, and Yuli saw him with the Ravens a little bit. Short run for him, but they are the Challenger champs, so maybe a potential upset there. Team Falcons is the Saudi team, I believe, and then obviously 100T is LA Thieves and then Atlanta Faze. So this one seems pretty straightforward. But Brock, you think an upset's going to happen, or you got our two CDL teams coming out of this bracket?
I think there's two CDL teams do come out of this bracket.
Okay.
And I think Faze is gonna get the first seed.
All right, you got Faze coming out as the one seed, and does that mean you have 100T coming out as the 2 seed?
Yep.
Wait a minute, I might have screwed this up. Group D number one, I did. Oops. Group D number one goes up here. I was like, wait a minute. I think you had Faze and Ultra both finishing as the 1 seed, and I have Faze playing Ultra, so that makes no sense. So then you had Group D number 2 as the 100 Thieves, right?
Yeah.
Okay. God, this bracket, it's just so confusing with the way this bracket is.
Yeah, it looks confusing.
It's just like I have to look at like 6 different sites to figure out what's going on. I have these like horrible photoshops coming in. Okay. So we got it, Brock. That sets up your bracket. So you had no challenger teams coming out. Interesting. I feel like that's probably not like the craziest thing. Like a lot of people probably have that, but you've got a first round matchup that leads to OpTic versus Surge. No roster changes here. Obviously, Surge rolling with the team that they had at Champs. OpTic rolling with the team that they won Champs with. An intriguing matchup, though. Last time we saw Abuza, he was absolutely shooting. Brezzy was playing pretty well. 04 had a bit of a rough Champs. Huke was shooting at times. But this team, if 04 plays a little better, they're a scary, formidable opponent. They definitely have upset potential here against OpTic.
Yeah, they're a good search team too.
Yeah.
But it's OpTic, the champs. I'm gonna pick them.
Think so.
I think so. Yep.
All right, I will move OpTic on, Brock, and that leaves you with Miami versus Atlanta Faze. Anything else you want to say on the OpTic series? You think it's going to be close, or you think it's kind of a wipe?
I think, no, not Carolina. I think Vancouver Surge will. We'll take a map. Not really sure which one. Maybe a Surge. That's about it.
Okay. Yeah, then we do have Faze versus Miami Heretics. Heretics did give them a very tough match
They
in
did.
round one of champs. They had a very realistic possibility to win that, just blew a couple close maps.
Oddly enough, I think it's gonna be the same exact how it was the champs. Heretics are gonna stick with it just until the end, and then Faze run away in the very end and win 3-0.
Okay, so we got Faze moving on to play OpTic. Loser of that match gets top 4. Very, very interesting there. All right, Brock, you have a fantastic rematch of champs. 100T versus Toronto Ultra. Obviously, LAT was able to take them on at champs. Think it's the same story, or is Toronto able to get them again? I mean, you got to think. We don't know about it, but you got to think maybe Toronto looking at a potential roster change if they do end up losing here. Bowing out early at champs and then a top 8 placing at the World Cup could get them thinking. You never know.
Yeah. I think it goes 3-2, and Toronto squeaks by this time.
I think Toronto squeaks by. Okay.
I
like it.
Get their so-called revenge.
All right, I like it. And then in the bottom of the bracket, you got Cloud9, aka New York Subliners, playing the Las Vegas Legion, same roster, but instead of Johnny, they have Fame.
Man. Who? I'm gonna go with the Cloud9's New York Subliners.
They're getting. We'll talk about it in a little bit, but they're getting called like, what is it? Cloud9 New York. It sounds horrible in my opinion.
Yeah. Just second place from champs. A lot of firepower in that team, and Vegas. I mean they're good, but I think New York just overwhelms them.
Yeah. Okay. It's fair, and that Brock leaves us, funny enough, with our top 4 teams. That leaves us with OpTic, Faze matchup in the top. Who you got in making it to the finals? I think OpTic makes it to another finals at a big event here, or do we see Faze make the final like we saw most of the year?
I think OpTic takes out Faze once again, and Faze is just down bad at this point.
All right, and then you've got Toronto Ultra versus New York Subliners or Cloud9. In the bottom bracket, you think we're going to have a rematch of champs, or you got Toronto pulling off the so-called upset?
I think Toronto does get, take out New York 3-2 fashion, and grand finals is OpTic in Toronto.
Right, and then I will grab Toronto. So I'm glad you at least think we have a different finals. I think, although it would I say that, but it would be kind of interesting, I suppose, if you had like a rematch of the finals, like a couple weeks later. What's going to happen? Is it going to be the same result or not? I don't know. It could be very interesting, but I'm very intrigued. If this was the finals matchup, I'd be very intrigued to watch an OpTic versus Toronto. Who you got winning it? You think OpTic goes back to back, or is Toronto going to pull it off?
It's hard to root against the champs from what I've seen at champs, and this Scum's looking to begin somewhat good from the screenshots I've seen. I think OpTic takes it and go back to back.
Okay, you got OpTic going back to back. That's interesting. I feel like it's probably the most common pick, because of just in general how many OpTic fans there are.
Yeah.
And B, because it's like a lot of these teams tend to go back to back in the big moments like this. I don't know though, Brock. I kind of want to pick OpTic as well. We'll see what I go with, but like, man, it's tough because it's just such a weird tournament. Like if we're coming off the regular season, like we just talked about, like normal, it's like, oh, it's obvious. Like this was the best team, or champs obviously didn't go that way. OpTic was looking very bad going into champs.
Yeah.
And ended up pulling it out. But it's just so weird because like I do truly think OpTic is the best team. Like they have a very good chance to win, but there's like this weird. I don't know. I feel like the vibes and the confidence they have, after winning champs, maybe they aren't going as hard. I feel like the teams that like didn't end up winning champs are going to be going extra hard for the World Cup. I don't know. I feel like OpTic might kind of coast into it, and they're probably good enough to still get like a top 4 at least, even if they're just coasting. But I don't know. I feel like other teams might just be like wanting it more, as weird as that sounds, and I could be completely wrong.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna clear it out here, and then we will go ahead and do my bracket. Yeah, let's. Boy, I don't know. I was thinking about picking a very similar bracket to you, so I might switch things up, but there are a couple things I may have different. So in Group A, the Carolina Legion, Carolina Las Vegas Legion, the Ole Miss Brooklyn Squad, and OpTic. I agree. As much as I like am scared of the fact that OpTic could potentially struggle, I also just like think that it's OpTic. Like there's no world where they don't come out of groups. Maybe they finish second or something after an upset or something weird happens, but it'd be very odd to me if they didn't at least make it out of groups.
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna go a little different than you. I think I'm gonna go with Carolina to
Hmm.
make it out. They've been looking very good in scrims. I still like really enjoy the team change that they did make.
Yeah.
The beans in for Clay. I just think it gives them a higher ceiling in the respawns. And I don't know. It's just something that I think is going to prove well for them. Maybe they get a little worse in search. Obviously, Beans and his Boston team, he's not going to be bringing a lot to the table in terms of what worked in search this year because that team was horrendous at search. But
Hmm.
I don't know. Something about this team. I like Gwyn a lot. I think he's really good. I think this team really feels like they should have been at champs. So they're a little bit extra motivated. Beans probably feels like he was a decent player this year and just was costed. Teach and Gwyn feel like they were a good sub duo outside the top 4. And should have been at champs. Fellow probably feels the same way. I don't know. I like this Carolina team to potentially look to pull off some upsets. Oh man. Then we head into Group B, which is the NYSL / Cloud9 G2 / Rocker, the Gentlemates, Bance's team, and the Vancouver Surge. I just don't love the G2 roster. Accuracy Diamondcon seems kind of like a redundant AR duo. Estriel and Lens, I think, is a pretty good sub duo. I just don't know that the AR duo really fits with the team too well.
Hmm.
I like the Vancouver Surge team. I like what I saw from Abuza. I think they're a team that could be very good. Oddly enough, they're like not a team that seems to talk a lot of trash either. So, the rules being in favor of that, I don't know, maybe that helps them in some weird way. I still have New York / Cloud9 coming out as the number 1 seed out of this bracket. So they go down to join the Carolina Royal Ravens down there. Oh, Brock, staring at that matchup makes me want to get really weird with it
Hmm.
and pick Carolina, but I don't know. We'll see. For the 2 seed, though, this one actually is a toss to me because I do think there's a world where, like, the Linz Estriel duo is enough to carry them through like a match or two and ends up squeaking them out as the 2 seed. But I think I'm gonna lean towards the Vancouver Surge. I just think like Huke is gonna bring it for this big event. I feel like he's able to get up because he just loves COD so much. I feel like he's able to get up for any of these big events. And I also think that Abuza was just shooting. I think he's going to continue to play super well. Abuza Brezzy, good duo. I just think that they're going to find a way to make it out as 2 seed to go on to play OpTic. Drop them up there. Then Group C, Boston Breach, the Stallions, Heretics, and Ultra. Brock, this is where I really want to pick the upset. I really want to pick Stallions. I'm not a big fan of the Boston roster. Cammy Awakening. It's the Cammy Awakening duo. If they were both playing up to the potential they have, is a very good AR duo. Purge Snoopy just doesn't really move me much as a sub duo. I mean, they are a team that should be extra motivated because it's a bunch of players. Purge, who was dropped, Awakening, who was dropped, Cammy, who was dropped, and then Snoopy, who made like nothing in the CDL this year. It's a bunch of players that should be motivated to make some money, so maybe that helps, but I just don't know how in good faith I could pick Boston. It's just such a weird pick. I do think Toronto will make it out as the 1 seed, which drops them where 3rd match at the top. Okay, I just got to make sure I'm putting them in the right spot here. I don't want to screw up the bracket. Toronto, I have them coming out as the 1. Oh, Brock, I don't know what to do with the 2 seed here.
Yeah, it's definitely a toss up.
I think Heretics are the obvious pick. I think they're probably the correct pick. I think they're the best pick, the most likely. I don't know. Do you think how likely do you think? Like, I think there's a world where Stallions comes out of here.
Yeah,
Like extra motivated, challengers players.
out of the challenger teams, definitely this one probably the most.
Yeah, I just feel like I don't omit Brooklyn. I don't like their team as much, and I don't like their landing spot because I do think Carolina and Vegas are good. Gentlemates, I think same thing. Like Surge and Cloud9, I think are going to be a little bit too much. This group, Boston is not like world beaters. Heretics are not world beaters at all either. And then Group D, like it's an advantage because there's 2 challenger teams. So like one of them will obviously beat the other, and then like if they pull off one upset, they make it out. But the 2 teams they play are a hot LAT team off champs and Faze, who's obviously Faze. Like they don't really lose to bad teams when it matters too much.
Yeah,
They only seem to lose to other top teams. So they had the best chance. I don't know. Screw it. I'm just gonna go with it. I'm gonna pick Stallions to make it out, just to change it up and be a little fun.
I like it. I mean, I do see a world where they do come out of this because they got some good players on the team.
And they definitely don't have like a bracket where it's like a bunch of like super good like world beater type teams where you like can't see them making it out. Like if they were in the bracket with LAT and Faze, it'd be like, is there really a world where I can pick them to make it out? But I don't know. Just like they have a really good CDL team and Ultra in there, but like Breach and Heretics are not like unbeatable teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then in Group D, like this one's pretty self-explanatory. I do think FaZe are going to be able to take everybody out, go 3-0. I think Thieves will beat the 2 challenger teams. I think Thieves will make it out as the 2 seed. So got FaZe making it out as the 1 seed. And funny enough, they go on to play FaZe Black, but they couldn't actually be called FaZe Black because like the World Cup doesn't like allow the double teams same name. So they could be called FaZe Black, but they technically are. And then I've got 100T coming out as the 2 seed in that group. I miss being able to call them like 100T and OpTic Gaming and Team Heretics, like all those. It's like refreshing to be able to say those.
Like OG's names.
Yeah.
Even like Cloud9, even though they did rebrand to the New York team.
Yeah, Cloud9 didn't spend that much time in Call of Duty either, but it's just like they're such a iconic name in esports, such a big brand in esports, and they were in COD, and they have some obviously like insanely like iconic, like one of the most iconic moments in COD history involves Cloud9, the assault versus formal 1v1 BO3 champs. Obviously, one of the most iconic moments in COD history, and it involved Cloud9. All right, that leaves me with the same matchup you had: OpTic versus Surge. I do think OpTic take this one, but I think, with a single elimination, it can get dangerous. I think every team is on upset watch. I do truly think that there's a world where OpTic are on upset watch. Like I said, if they're maybe not taking this tournament as seriously, potentially, I don't see that happening, but you never know. And, Surge motivated to show top 8 at Champs was potentially a fluke for them because they did look pretty good at times at Champs. Brock, unfortunately for Stallions, if they were to have drawn a team like a Carolina or a Seattle, or like maybe not as good of a team, I would say, Stallions maybe can make it even further. But unfortunately for them, they draw Atlanta FaZe in my bracket.
Yeah.
I don't think that they can beat Atlanta FaZe. FaZe are like that one team that's like, FaZe don't seem to lose to bottom teams. Like if FaZe are going to lose, it's going to be to like Toronto, New York, OpTic. Like they don't seem to lose to teams that are clearly worse than them. They're probably the best at that of the top teams.
I agree.
I think they're probably going to 3-0 Stallions here pretty quickly.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's how it shakes up.
Yeah. Then we've got Ultra LAT. This is a awesome matchup, Brock.
That'd be a banger.
I think Ultra are going to get their revenge. I really do. I really think Ultra are going to get their revenge. I think they're going to take out LAT, but I do not feel confident in that one. I know I maybe made it sound by saying I really do, but I don't know. LAT, they looked very, very good at champs, and they obviously did beat Ultra. Like, this is not a shoo-in at all to just be like, yep, Ultra's going to win. They're the better team. Because I do think they are the better team, but LAT had their number at champs. They looked very good. Like, I think this LAT team is going to have a lot of confidence. I mean, we like to forget, but like LAT honestly should have been in winners finals.
Yeah.
Like they were up 2-0 on OpTic, and as a young team sometimes does, they got maybe a little bit overconfident and just kind of like maybe got too ahead of themselves, thinking, okay, we beat OpTic, we're up 2-0. Maybe they got a little bit too ahead of themselves, and obviously OpTic reverse sweeps. We know the rest of the story, but LAT really should have beat OpTic. Like, whatever you want to say, they were up 2-0. Like, when you're up 2-0, you have a very good chance to close out a series, no matter how good the other team is. They just maybe got too ahead of themselves. So there's a very real world where they win, and it's so interesting because like normally I'd be like, okay, LAT, they're gonna go make a losers bracket run, but in this case, it's single elimination. They don't have a chance to.
Yeah.
And Brock, this is where I want to get just stupid crazy. I want to pick Carolina so bad.
The
weird thing for me is Hydra is like the best player in the game still. He's just unreal.
So talented.
And Sib at the end of the year, and then at like champs and even champs finals, like Sib was shooting. There were moments where he was their best player at champs. Like he was going absolutely crazy. Sky's kind of struggled at times, but he's still a clutch player. And Kismet was just horrible at champs, like the worst I've seen Kismet in quite some time.
Yeah. Yeah, this is finished second.
Okay, here's what I'll say. My head is telling me to pick New York, Cloud9, because I think it's the obvious pick. I think they're probably going to win, but for fun, I'm taking Carolina.
I like it. Hey, any given day.
The single elim, you never know. I don't know. I think it's a stupid pick. If I'm like truly being honest with you, I think it's a stupid pick. Like, I think it's pretty obvious that Cloud9 or New York Sublighters, whatever you want to call them, is going to win here, but I don't know. We don't have official points in the line. It's a fun tournament. They're in a different country, time zone change, all this stuff. Like, something weird could happen. I'm going to pick Carolina and just have fun with it.
I like it.
On the top rock, it's OpTic versus Faze. Oh, man. It's weird. I don't know. I think there's like this Faze. I think their chemistry could be off. I think OpTic maybe isn't trying, like I said a bunch of times, but I'm going to pick OpTic just because it's like, I don't know. Faze overall like beat them a good amount this year and had their number for a lot of it, but they didn't play each other at champs. I don't know. I'm going to take OpTic. Yeah, I'm putting them up here. I'm taking OpTic over Faze. I don't feel confident in that at all. I honestly think the winner of this matchup is probably going to win it all. And I hate to do it because like something is really telling me not to pick OpTic, but I think I'm going to. Spoiler alert. I'm taking... I can't take Carolina to go any further than top 4. So I'm taking Ultra to meet up with OpTic in the finals. And then I'm going to take OpTic to win it. But something is really telling me that like I made the mistake by picking OpTic. I have this weird feeling Faze or like New York are going to win this. Obviously, I picked New York to finish top 8. But I don't know. Something is telling me that somebody else in the top 4 is going to win this tournament and not named OpTic. But something else is telling me like, no, they're the best team in the game. They showed it at champs. Just pick with them. So I'm going OpTic. I feel very not confident. I feel a lot less confident in this than I did in champs.
Yeah. Is this where Faze wins the Esports World Cup and sticks together?
I don't know. I really wanted to pick them really badly, but something is just like, don't pick against Kenny. Keep the Kenny faith. And even if they lose, just be like, they weren't trying.
Yeah.
And just troll people and make me even more mad.
Yep. They did show at champs. Clearly the best team.
Yeah. All right. So we both ended up picking the same finals, funny enough, but I would say both of us probably are not super confident in our pick, just with the weird circumstances of this. Like, I would say you probably believe also there's a world where like Faze, Ultra, Cloud9, even LAT are one of the weird teams. I think you probably feel not overly confident in OpTic. Like, you wouldn't put a lot of money on it.
Yeah, it's just, so weird. They're like, it's after the whole like season champs and have to go back into the more, I don't know. I mean, they're locked in, but like how locked in are they?
It's like, it's just unprecedented. Like we don't know how people are going to perform after this. Like, you believe teams that didn't do as well as they wanted at champs or didn't make champs, or our challenger players are going to try a lot harder and really want to win this. And like we say like, oh, maybe OpTic won't be trying as hard because like they did end up winning champs, so maybe they're not trying as hard. But at the end of the day, also like there's $600,000 on the line for first. I gotta believe that the players are like, wait, we won champs, like we could make a legendary run here if we just go back to back in the World Cup after. Because like you gotta believe if the World Cup continues to be a thing every year, like this is gonna be a pretty prestigious thing to win because it's very similar to X Games. Like X Games, I don't believe X Games had group play, but it did have like a single elimination bracket, and like the winner got an X Games gold medal, silver medal, bronze medal for second and third and stuff. I don't believe there was a prize pool for that, but like it was cool to be like I'm an X Games gold medalist, and it's like a pretty cool thing on Scump's resume is the 2-time X Games gold medalist because I believe he's the only one because they only had the 2 X Games and he won the first one with Proofy, Clayster, and Nade. Then he won the second one with the Dynasty. So he's the only 2-time X Games gold medalist, and I don't believe Kyle will ever be back there. So like it's a cool thing, and I feel like in the future it's going to be like a cool thing to have on a resume. It's going to be like, oh, you won this many champs, this many tournaments, this many World Cups. Like it's going to be a cool thing to have on a resume as long as they keep doing it.
Yeah, I hope they keep doing it because more Call of Duty then for us.
It's going to be funny. It's going to be like I forget what they called it or all the things that were included, but like Scump and like Crim and like Karma. No, yeah, Karma. Were like some of the only people to ever complete it formal as well. I guess like the OpTic Dynasty or some of the only people ever to complete it. It's like winning champs. I guess Clayster would be too then. Like winning champs, winning an MLG, a UMG, like all that stuff.
Yeah.
X Games medals. And now none of those guys will ever be able to do that because like Scump, unless formal comes back, I guess.
Yeah.
Like Crim will never do it, Karma will never do it, Scump will never do it. I guess Clay technically has the chance to if he continues to play for a long time and ends up winning the World Cup somehow.
Yeah, formal definitely does have a chance if he comes back.
Yeah, and I mean, I hope this continues to be a thing because, like we said, it gives us a month out from champs. We get to watch another pretty entertaining tournament, so I'm excited for it.
Yep, definitely.
All right, Brock, we've got a couple pieces of news to get into here. And I'm just going to scroll through, talk about some of these. So, pieces of news here. We've got just some funny hypotheticals also to talk about. Jacob Hale posted a thing about a week ago and said, would Faze have won champs and or another major if they picked up Kenny instead of Draza? Obviously, an impossible hypothetical.
Yeah.
Because, like, I believe Kenny inserted onto that Faze team would be absolutely insane. But Draza was excellent this year. Like, he was a top player this year. I do think maybe there's some chemistry issues with the team, potentially, with all the outside the game stuff. So I would like to say I think that there's a very good chance that Faze would have won champs or another major if they picked up Kenny instead of Draza. But at the same time, also, like, I think Faze could have easily won champs with their current roster. I think they just happened to lose to a very good Toronto team, and, you know, things just didn't go their way.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know. I think that there's a very good possibility. They would have won champs or another major if they picked up Kenny, but you never know. I mean, would his leadership style have meshed with the team? I believe so. I would go on a limb and say I think they would have won champs because I definitely don't think OpTic would have won without Kenny if they picked somebody else up.
Definitely. Agreed.
Like if Draza was on OpTic instead of Kenny, I don't think they win. If Kenny's on Faze, I don't know. I guess I would say yes because that would take Kenny off OpTic. I would say, like, in that case, Kenny's on an OpTic. I think maybe the most likely team to win besides, like, Faze and OpTic could be, like, New York.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I would say, I guess I think they probably would have because that takes Kenny off OpTic. But it's so impossible to say. You can't say with any certainty at all.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. I mean, I guess I would say that I'm kind of with the both of you. If they had a Kenny, obviously he won, but, like, you don't really know because Draza was really good also this year. I'm on a bow saying he would win a champs or at least another major with Faze.
Yeah, it's such a tough thing, but I tend to agree with you.
Yeah.
One other thing, Brock, Uplink is apparently back. I think it's kind of funny because if we had jetpacks, it'd be like, hell yeah, we have such a good third game mode. But it's just so weird because you can't like fly up and dunk. So I don't know. Are you just gonna are you gonna like run it in like blitz and then like be able to like throw it for a 1-pointer? It's so weird though because you can't do like the crazy wall run throw overs and all that. It has to be like the gridiron mode like that was in World War II.
Yeah.
You have to be like it's gonna be like blitz. You're gonna have to run it in or throw it in for one. I don't know. Like it's entertaining and I'd love to see how it plays, but I just highly doubt it's gonna be competitive because like the whole wall run throws and crazy throws and like being able to fly up and like dunk it was like the entertaining part. I don't know that it'd be that entertaining like running it in because people did not like blitz very much.
Yeah. I mean, we both love Uplink, but without jetpack, just kind of like you said, blitz mode. And I mean, I'm down to have it in over, you know, or even add it to the pool somehow.
4 maps like we had, or 4 game modes like we had in Black Ops 3 or something.
Yeah, Or I'd like to see Capture the Flag come back sometime.
Yeah, if they ever fix spawns.
Yeah, but yeah. It's cool that it'll be in the game, though, definitely, for sure.
Yeah.
So it hasn't been in the games, my knowledge.
No, not for since jetpacks, I don't think, besides like the gridiron mode of World War II, which is like the same thing.
Yeah.
Afro was dropped from LAT. I feel like that's not really surprising at all. Like, that's just fun to mention it, but like he was benched and they played significantly better after dropping him. So he wasn't going to be on the roster next year. It's not shocking there.
Yep. Not shocking.
Couple more things, Brock, then we can wrap it up. I would say let's do this one. OpTic Texas tweeted, rank the CDL COD titles from best to worst. So people are doing it based on pubs, whole game. I guess we'll say not even just watching, specifically just playing. And your personal opinion, there's no wrong answer because it's your personal opinion. Playing wise, for like playing ranked play or playing the competitive, what do you think were the best COD titles from best to worst? I would say for me, Cold War is the best. I think MW3 is second. I really enjoy playing this year, like a lot. It's actually up there with Cold War for me playing wise. Cold War is objectively a better game for competitive, but Cold War is 1, MW3 is 2, Vanguard's 3. I honestly think those have to be your top 3 because MW2 and MW19 were horrendous. I mean, MW2, the Saudi Q, no Deddy, no red dots. If I didn't have like this extreme, I don't know, it was like COVID was starting, like the CDL went online. I hated watching MW19 because it was such a crazy turn from how good Black Ops 4 was to watch. So I have this crazy hatred. I hated playing it. I didn't absolutely hate playing MW2, and at least MW2 had a good ranked mode. MW19 didn't even have a ranked mode. So for that reason, I'm putting MW2 above it, but it's really, as much as I hate MW19, MW2 is not even that far above it.
Yeah.
So I'm going Cold War 1, MW3 2, Vanguard 3, MW2 4, and then MW19 5. Purely competitive to play.
Yep. For me, I think you know where I'm going here.
Yeah.
For me personally, I really enjoyed Vanguard. So I'm putting Vanguard number 1. And I'm going to put Cold War 2 this year, MW3 3. Even though I did really like it, but I think I could like Cold War a little bit better.
Yeah. I thought this game was really fun to play.
Yeah.
I think is one of the better, just purely competitive, like fun games to play that we've had. Literally, like I think like obviously like Black Ops 3, 4, all those before were like way better. But like MW3 is up there for me as like one of the more fun times I've had playing. Like ranked. Like it's definitely like not a bad game. It's like middle of the pack, which for the recent titles is pretty high.
Yeah. And also it got better. I mean, for probably both of us, definitely when they added Rio, Vista, and 6-star, and those maps are pretty good overall.
Totally agree. The map additions definitely boosted up. If we had to play the same, like if we were playing like, what is it? Oh my god, why am I blanking? Skid Row, Hardpoint, and like Invasion Hardpoint. If we were playing those all year, they would have definitely been lower.
Yeah,
for sure. Like 6-star Rio, Vista, those maps getting added in improved it like greatly. You're 100% right there.
Yeah, and those are actually pretty good maps overall.
Would be pretty good overall in a lot of games.
Yeah, have that MW3 this year 3, MW2. Right, it had a rank play like you said, which would competitive mode. That's 4, and then the worst game ever of all time is MW19.
Yeah, worst game ever.
I think I'd rather play Slime Rancher if anyone knows what that is than MW19 ever.
Yeah, MW19 was horrible.
Yeah,
the map's horrible, and the Deddy was just weird. Like the game just felt odd. I don't know. It was a terrible game. They introduced the like weapon with 8 trillion attachments. It was horrible. Warzone ruined Call of Duty in a lot of ways for people that like pubs and competitive.
Agreed there.
I will say, I think it's funny. Like you, obviously, everybody knows you have this love for Vanguard. I don't know. I feel like if you went back in time now after playing this last title with higher health, I don't know if you'd like Vanguard as much because I've been seeing some clips. I know the Vanguard time to kill was fast, but like I've been seeing clips of people playing Vanguard like recently, and you literally look at somebody and they're dead. And I know you like longer time to kill. I don't know. I feel like if you actually went back and played Vanguard, you wouldn't like it as much as you did at the time. I just feel like we were coming off MW19 and it was like so bad, and you played Cold War and it was like fun. I don't know. I feel like Vanguard, you really got to move super fast again with like the slide cancel and everything, and it was high engagements, and I feel like that's maybe the reason.
Yeah, and also the fact that
in a while, I don't know.
Probably also the fact I play that game a lot more than the last few,
Yeah.
which helps. That argument
funny.
for me at least.
Yeah, and also like this is a tier list where it's like completely like personally what game you had the most fun on. I feel like if we were both objectively ranking it, Cold War has to be one for like objectively what was the best competitive game. I would say Cold War definitely has to be your number one.
Yeah, Core has all the basically OG maps that were good.
Yeah, it probably objectively is the best game, but obviously like saying something's objectively the best game doesn't mean it's your favorite. Like I would say objectively Black Ops 2 is probably the best competitive COD ever.
Mm-hmm.
My personal favorites are BO3 and BO4. I like playing them more. But I could also like sit back and be like, okay, Black Ops 2 is probably objectively better, but I like the other two more. It plays a big factor into it. I was 10 times better, if not more, at Black Ops 3 and 4 than I was at Black Ops 2. Because Black Ops 2 when I was kind of first playing COD, so I sucked. Like I told that story before, but literally like in Capture the Flag, I thought like the way to play it, because I like didn't really watch too much competitive at this point, but like when I first started playing like the league play, I thought like the best way to play Capture the Flag was to have like two people like go try to get the flag and play offense, and two people sit back by the flag and play defense. Like that's how little I knew when I was like first playing that. Like I was so terrible at Black Ops 2. Like I remember we made plat and I thought it was like the craziest thing ever.
I remember, yeah.
Whatever. Was it called plat in that game? I can't remember because it was iron, bronze, silver, gold. I think it was plat, wasn't it?
It was like gold, then plat, then master.
Yeah. I remember like making plat in like our first season, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Like I thought like we were insane, and like looking back, I'm like, we literally didn't even know how to play Capture the Flag. Like we were so bad.
Oh yeah.
But objectively, probably the best competitive game ever made.
Yeah.
Our last piece of news here, Brock. Well, I guess quickly to talk about the two name changes. Cloud9 is like obviously taking over for New York. Apparently, they're going to be called Cloud9 New York. I don't really like that at all.
A little odd.
I guess if they have to keep the team name in, maybe they would go for like the New York C9. Maybe it sounds a little better, but any way you put it, to keep New York and then keep Cloud9, it's just like, I don't know. Cloud9 New York is just such a mouthful.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. I don't know. It's very odd. And then Vancouver Surge, they moved to Vancouver last year, obviously, and now they're going with Vancouver Surge.
Makes sense.
Yeah. As their team name. So, I don't know. Interesting. Not too much of a change there. But Brock, the last piece of news, I guess, now is a sad piece. Oxygen Esports is just like laying off all staff, ceasing operations, owned by Robert Kraft, owner of the New England Patriots in the NFL. They basically gave people no notice, like kicked them out of like their apartments and stuff, which is pretty messed up and horrible. But it's very sad for like, obviously we feel for all the people that lost their jobs and all that. That goes without saying. Like that's horrible to lose your job, and especially in like, it seems like what was such a like shocking and like no warning fashion. Like these are probably a lot of people that moved to an area and like uprooted their lives to like make a change to work for this org. That's unfortunate because it comes from a guy like Robert Kraft, who's a multi-billionaire and is probably losing just a little bit of money every year on his esports org, and they just like shut it down with no notice. They can't like shutting it down if you're losing money as a businessman makes sense, but you can't like give people a little bit of warning. It's like,
yeah,
I'm a Colts fan. I hate the Patriots, so Scump again from Robert Kraft. I'll use that for my narrative. But obviously, yes, we feel for all the people losing their jobs, and honestly, it also sucks for the CDL because like as much as you want to like roast Boston for sucking and stuff this year, like the Boston Breach were a very good organization in terms of the CDL. Like they cared. They seemed to care about their players, regardless of if they sucked or like what they were. They seemed to care. They would put on an event like every year. They would fork up the money to put on like Major One the last couple of years. Like their social media was very involved. They had Doug. They were very involved in challengers. Like they were a team that was involved in challengers, tried to be involved in content. They were very involved with their roster. They seemed to care about their players. As Zinni always talks about how they invited them over for Thanksgiving. We had no family in the area and like couldn't get home. Like it seemed to be an org that cared about players, cared about the league, cared about challengers. So they did like everything right in terms of like helping to grow the CDL and being a good org. So it is unfortunate that another good organization is out yet again, probably because of financial reasons.
Yeah, it's just tough because, like you said, they actually did a lot of contact and stuff and majors and challenges. They were heavily involved in just all of that, and for the most part, they're like a top 16 for the most part of the years. Besides, last year A turn for the worst.
Yeah, they were like decent in MW2. They were decent in Vanguard. Yeah, obviously this year they were just horrible, but Vanguard MW2 they were decent. It just sucks because they were like we said, they were so involved in all aspects of Call of Duty where you need to be. They were involved at times in content, like with Doug. They were so involved in challengers. One of the most involved organizations with the Boston Breach Academy and Doug.
Mm-hmm.
And challengers, and they were very involved with their players and like hosting events and everything. So it's sad to lose a team that was that in on the CDL and see them go when there's teams like the Legion who just like don't care about the CDL at all and the CDL at all, and they're just like still here.
Yeah, it just sucks, but I guess financial issues.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's just the reality of esports currently. Just super unfortunate. But you got anything else before we wrap this one up?
No, just like you said, it's kind of just really unfortunate, especially give all those staff, players, everyone just no notice.
Yeah, it's scummy business practices.
Yeah. Other than that, don't got much.
Yeah, it's just very sad. I feel for the staff. Like I said, obviously, all the staff. We hope you land on your feet. I know it's tough to do in esports right now because it seems like jobs are disappearing everywhere. It's an unfortunate thing. Like with jobs disappearing in an industry like that, like if it's been your dream, like a lot of us, to potentially work in that industry, it's disheartening and like to even want to take jobs in that industry because you just see all these people that are so good at their jobs and so deserving of having jobs in esports, just unable to continue working in it because like the jobs are just all closing up, financials are tight, and like all the jobs are just closing up around them. So it's like all these very deserving people that should have jobs in esports, it's just like they can't because the market for it is just so terrible. So it's very disheartening to see all these people, and it makes it scary to want to work in the esports industry as people who are very involved in it. It's very scary to want to work in it and work for a company, especially companies that make you like move to Boston or move to wherever, because it's like they're disbanding so much, and like if you uproot your life to move to an area, you may be leaving family and other things behind just for them to just out of nowhere, no notice, kick you out of your apartment and make you lose your job. So not only are you out of your apartment, but you're out of a job. Like,
Yeah.
it's a very messed up thing and very heartbreaking for the people that have to go through it.
Yeah.
All right. That's going to do it for this one. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. If you're on the audio platforms, drop a follow, drop a 5-star review. I was on the flu game today. I'm very happy to just go lay down and rest. Hopefully, I'm feeling better for this weekend to watch the World Cup. I hope you guys enjoy the World Cup. It'll be interesting to see, the time zone change. Like I said, it'll be different for us here. We'll be watching at random times of the day, but I'm excited. No idea who's going to come out on top. I'm excited to see the production and everything because it looks pretty sick from what I've seen. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.